Several things have really interested me about the coronavirus sort of self-isolation situation that we're facing ourselves in. One aspect is the Zoom calls that where we're filming ourselves and sort of transgressing telephonic boundaries that we might have once had, like temporal and spatial boundaries. But another thing that has interested me is the fact that everyone has resorted to filmmaking, or at least a primitive form of filmmaking, perhaps, whilst in self-isolation. TikTok, in a lot of ways, is very similar to YouTube, and I think what makes people choose TikTok over YouTube is the lack of corporatization, because YouTube has become very corporatized in recent years with lots of mainstream television celebrities coming over and big corporations starting YouTube channels. Whereas with TikTok, there is both a sense of intimacy and also a sense of immediacy that really sort of prevents it from being anything like YouTube. I say a sense of intimacy because you don't really need any sense of production like what the YouTube platform has turned into with its corporatization. Like, you don't need sets or anything like that. You can just film in your bedroom, and people get like a sense of your personality from it as well, like your sense of humor, your daily life, and your favorite music.
The project is brought to you by Hyundai. It's something extra from Hyundai, because look now, a little goes a long way.
What are you doing exactly?
It's that video I say.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sort of going for like this thing of like interspersed between the videos there might be authentic footage of people's lives, almost like going back to forms of cinematic realism.
Oh, okay.
And what people like about TikTok is the authenticity of it, or the veil or likeness to reality. So you doing that is actually proving nothing.
I'm also reminded of what Roland Barthes talks about. Barthes? I don't know. Well, there's that sort of authenticity there of screwing stuff up. But what Roland Barthes talks about, where it's like the fact that when you look at a photograph and you show someone a photograph, you don't go, look, there's a photograph. This is a photograph of my dog. You just say, this is my dog. So there's that authenticity there. But there's also this kind of the small nature of the camera, like the mobility of the mobile, allows audiences a more voyeuristic gaze into the lives of creators, kind of transcending spatial boundaries in a way. The immediate nature of this authenticity also ushers up connotations of the cinema of attractions, a variety show where you're there less for a coherent narrative or to see certain actors, but you're there for the technology itself. So TikTok, in a sense, becomes the cinematograph of our modern day. The cinema of attractions runs beneath all narrative cinema, producing those moments of cinematic depaysement, to borrow a term from Tom Gunning, which is beloved by the surrealists. When the cinema of attractions emerged, though, and it emerged in the circus, a lot of circus owners, or whatever, the showmen who are showing off the cinema of attractions, they were using increasingly more shocking content to lure in the more curious gaze of the guests. And these series of instant shocks, again to borrow a term from Gunning, was seen by high-class audiences as grotesque and unsuitable. And I think TikTok has a stigma because of its relation to the cinema of attractions, which in turn is seen as low-class entertainment. Just as much as we can think of TikTok in these terms, though, it also raises concerns about our ubervalent society and the poetics of isolation. The nature of mobile phones to always travel with us brings forth Foucauldian notions of the panopticon, wherein our free will, is eroded by a double conscious self. Cinematic representations of isolation is often tethered to Foucault's ideas, especially as our own point of reference is usually the security camera. The security camera's wide-angle lens distorting the figure, raised high as a symbol of status to keep us in line, subjugating the camera in frame in order to emphasize their smallness in the frame, is how we have filmed isolation for years, with the character alone in the frame and shot in a wide. You can see that in a number of film stuff that I've got here, like this moment here. There's this moment here. So they're like alone in the frame, like, I guess, subjugated within the frame, I suppose you could call it. So if this is in fact the dystopian vision of where we are right now that I am perhaps implying, perhaps not, why is everyone dancing? Have we accepted our self-isolation, this imprisonment and confinement to our own home? Or is everyone sort of preaching a happiness, togetherness, kind of absurd laughing off this sort of virus situation and just having fun while we're all doing this? And why the phone? Is it that the framing on either side provides us the appropriate symbolism of how we're feeling, trapped, confined and boxed in within this sort of slim rectangular frame? So if this whole isolation is for the greater good. I mean, at least that's what we're told, but I'm not going to fancy any of that conspiracy theory stuff. I'm just saying that our isolation in the home is for the greater good. But will we return to normal? Will we stop being online? I mean, with everything being so much easier online with education in terms of cost and economy, surely they can just destroy all workplace buildings and universities and stuff like that. I mean, we yearn for personal sort of authentic communication between bodies, but I mean, like, will we return to normal? And this also makes you wonder, will we ever stop filming ourselves? I mean, I know we'll never stop filming ourselves, but I mean, in this way, on TikTok with our mobile phones, I mean, different apps will come and go, but will we stop filming ourselves like this? I mean, there seems to always be this constant yearning for authentic surveillance of other people's lives, from early YouTube with the vlog formats before it became all corporatized and everything like that, and high production values. And then there was Vine, and now we're in TikTok. I mean, I don't know. Will we always be trapped in this endless cycle of self-surveillance, constantly on repeat? I mean, I don't know. Will we always be trapped in this endless cycle of self-surveillance, constantly on repeat?